If you have a MacBook Pro 15-inch, mid-2015, then hopefully the info below will prove of use to you. If so, I'd appreciate a click on helpful. At the time that I needed to replace my failing Apple SSD, I was struggling to find information on what SSD adapters are required and if the actual SSD itself would even work inside my MacBook Pro. Below is the information that I would have found most beneficial at the time. Sadly, I had no choice but to take a leap of faith. So here it goes. If you have a different MacBook Pro model, then check elsewhere for compatibility issues. Also note that, from what I read, some of the smaller MacBooks, the 13 inches form factor, do not have replaceable SSDs as they are soldered onto the motherboard. The original Apple SSD in my MacBook Pro 15-inch, mid-2015, started failing. Upon booting up, a folder icon with a question mark kept on appearing more and more frequently until the SSD eventually gave up altogether. Likely I made frequent backups using Time Machine. I replaced the original Apple SSD 1TB with a Samsung 970 EVO plus 1TB RAM. 2 internal SSD. Considering SSD technology has improved over the last 4 years, this SSD appears to be faster, and Blackmagic Design Disk Speed Test reports write speeds of over 2,500 megabytes per second and read speeds of over 2,100 megabytes per second, and also gives a green tick across all of its tests. Regretfully could not yet locate any of the Blackmagic Design Disk Speed Test screenshots I made a few years back on the original Apple SSD from 2015. I do recall, however, that, unlike with the Samsung 970 EVO Plus, not all tests showed up with a green tick. In order for the Samsung 970 EVO Plus to fit into the MacBook Pro 15-inch, mid-2015, an SSD adapter card is required. To 8 others I have provided a link below to the item that worked for me. www.amazon.co.uk/GP/product/BO7Q45BJCN/ref=pp_ASIN_BO3_core_ASIN_UTF8 and PSC=1 be forewarned. I found it to be a rather tight fit. When inserting and/or removing the SSD and/or the adapter card, be careful not to lift these items much higher than the minimum that is required so as to remove them from their slot. NB. Also, before replacing your SSD, make sure that have at least updated your MacBook Pro to Mojave. I am currently running on macOS Mojave 10.14.6 without any issues. I cannot say anything about Catalina as I have not updated to it yet. I purchased the Samsung 970 Pro 512GB for my PC to use as the OS, Windows 10 x64, and applications drive. This drive is incredibly quick and Windows now boots up to the desktop before the animated boot logo even appears. That's how quick it is. Compared to a mechanical hard disk, the difference in performance is astronomical and you will never look back. It's also considerably faster than a SATA SSD drive. Compared to another disk, you may struggle to see much difference in everyday use unless you are using the disk very heavily, such as for sustained data transfers and high random I/O. I was a little disappointed when I benchmarked the disk on my PC because the numbers came back lower than Samsung. However, it appears that other users have managed to get close to the maximum speeds of the disk without issue. I'm currently running an Asus X299 board and apparently am not alone with users getting less than advertised speeds with their X299 boards. This looks like a firmware issue with my motherboard, so hopefully this will get fixed by Asus. The 970 Pro is Samsung's flagship disk and is a lot more expensive than the 970 EVO, as is always the way. If you have done any research into comparing the two, you will see that the performance between them is very similar. Click link in description for more reviews.